What's up, everyone? It's Caddy with MoneyVest. So markets with a massive breakout on the day here and also closing the week very, very strongly. We had the NASDAQ breaking out over 13,700. The S&P 500 also breaking out over 4,400 here. So not only did we have a very strong green day, but we also had a pretty decent week, and also the bulls coming out on top with the breakout that we're seeing with the 10-year treasuries kind of hovering around 4.6%. But there is a big caveat that I want to go over in this video before we get ahead of ourselves. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord, Patreon is going to be down below if you really want to support my work. If you want to be a part of our MoneyVest community, I would really appreciate it. You do get access to a lot of benefits, including our members-only private videos. You can access over 40 plus tutorials, lectures, videos on personal finance, investing, trading, fundamental and technical analysis, as well as Excel spreadsheets that you can access. Intrinsic values included with the S&P 500 valuation, volatility cheat sheet, and of course over 20 plus Discord channels. Everything's going to be available with the link down below. And again, we'd love to have you on board. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So the NASDAQ up over 2%, 12,793 as of the most recent quote. S&P 500 over 4,400, and the Dow Jones also rallying over 389 points, or up over 1.15%. 3,700 stocks advancing on the day, with 2,200 declining on the day. So Dow surges more than 350 points to reach session highs as stocks head for weekly gains as well. This right here is, boy oh boy, the heat map. Amazon, Tesla, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Advanced Micro Devices on a run, 4.7%. Adobe pushing higher. We had all sectors broad participation on the day, and that's it. That's where it ends. Only on the day. If you scroll back, pull the curtain to the week, it's only big tech. You know, it's mostly big tech that's starting to move higher. Once again, you're seeing Microsoft on the week up 4.7. Apple was up 5.3. Nvidia was up over 7%. Google up 2.89. Meta was up 4%. Amazon was up 3.4. Adobe, Oracle, AMD also up over 5.87. Tesla was down on the week. It was down 2.3%. And we did have energy stocks, healthcare, utilities, real estate, financials, materials to some extent, liquidity coming out of these sectors and flooding where? Back over to Mag 7. Magnificent 7, in other words, your big tech, your large cap tech, once again, sucking up all the liquidity that's coming out of real estate, energy. And that's why the breadth was a little bit weaker here on the week. Not saying that the breakout is invalid. No, the volume was good and the breakout beyond these certain levels were very, very strong. But they also happened on the back of Magnificent 7 and big tech stocks once again. So a little bit more of a concentration in these companies. And that's one of the reasons why, I'm dollar cost averaging into VUG or SMH. SMH was up quite substantially today as well. So if you come over, take a look at SMH, it was up a little bit over 4%. Still markets open, but up close to 4% with a very, very massive breakout to the upside from this downtrending channel. And the next target and resistance is going to be at 161. That's exactly why VUG and SMH have been my two go-to ETFs for long-term broad-based diversification, right? These are two ETFs that I personally absolutely love and would continue to dollar cost average into. And VUG was up close to 2% on the day today as well. And SMH, like I said earlier, up close to 4% on the day. So that's where we are. Very, very strong breakout beyond 4,400 on the S&P, 13,700 on the NASDAQ. I'll go over the technicals here in just a minute. But all sectors green on the day, all 11 of them pushing higher. In the last 1 week, though, again, you can see the split. You can see the concentration in technology, comm services. Those are the two main sectors pushing higher. And in the last 1 month, defensive, technology, and utilities kind of still leading the month here, and healthcare, energy, and real estate struggling a little bit. Oat prices pushing higher very much. NASDAQ 100 obviously moving up. Orange juice for the win once again. Volatility here dropping over 5.5% here. Palladium, coffee, and silver prices also rolling over. Now, in our spreadsheet, you can see that there is a spreadsheet for volatility, right? So there is going to be a VIX spreadsheet that's available for all the members that you can access. And if you come over to volatility and where it's at right now, we're looking at down almost 7% at 14.23. Now, the reason why 14 and under 14 is so important levels is because we are now heading down to some really, really low volatility readings, right? So we're getting down to 20th, 25th percentile, perhaps even lower. The lower we get, the more cautious we need to be from a market pullback standpoint. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get across in this video and in our Discord as well, because no one trend is going to go on forever, right? No one sort of momentum is going to go on forever. We're going to see pullbacks, we're going to see rallies, we're going to see technical bounces, we're going to see technical pullbacks. It's just how the markets work and how they operate. So going back over to the actual analysis here very quickly. So Bitcoin's over 37,000 now, Ether over $2,000. That's also very, very strong. Now coming back over to the S&P 500, you'll notice trading above 4,400, and this is the breakout that we are seeing right now. So very, very good move to the upside on the day, and of course on the week here, S&P is up over 1.28%. Not a huge amount, but it'll do the job. It'll push us to a higher high, and we're certainly moving back higher above this previous resistance. So the next target to really be paying attention to, and this is exactly where I could see the S&P 500 now get up to and really find that resistance and supply area. It's going to be 4,500, because RSI, MACD, once again, getting a little bit more on the overbought side. We're not quite there yet on quote-unquote overbought. 61 is quite still reasonable, and the MACD also, you can see the histograms have been leveling off a little bit. So yes, there is momentum, but 4,500 is going to be that next resistance level to watch, and the new support is going to be 4,400 on the S&P 500. So this right here is going to be the new level to watch. But again, I want to mention that this is a very strong breakout. Number two, no one trend is going to go on forever. Just like over here, we were selling off aggressively. We got down to oversold levels, and then we saw a very nice bounce back higher. Just like that in the past is what we have seen. And with any technical trend, nothing's going to last forever. So eventually there is going to be an opportunity for a pullback, for the markets coming down, maybe 2 to 3%, 4%, considering how overbought we are now starting to become. I'll go over some of the individual stocks as well. NASDAQ here with a very nice breakout. 13,800 is almost where it's at the moment, 2% higher on the day. And the next target on the NASDAQ is going to be sitting roughly at around 13,875 is going to be that level to watch, with a very strong breakout above this previous resistance, putting in a higher high. Again, RSI, MACD, take a look. Very similar to the S&P 500, getting up to 63, and the MACD also pushing higher to almost 100 levels here. So 13,875 is going to be that next level and next target to watch on the NASDAQ, and we're going to go ahead and turn this level into a new support for the NASDAQ at 13,700. Very nice breakout, but we want to see some confirmation. Of course, we're getting a higher high, but a higher low is also very important. Now going over to Apple, as you can see, RSI, MACD, and it's kind of funny because I've gone over this so many times in the past, and it's the psychological cycle that keeps on repeating itself, right? Over and over and over and over again. It's I've been doing this for obviously almost 3 years now on YouTube, and I can always sense when we talk about these things, when we talk about oversold levels, when we talk about overbought levels, when we talk about oversold levels, because these are extreme levels on the bell curve, if you think about it, right? Because markets don't really necessarily trade on average. They move, from overvalued to undervalued levels, overbought to, oversold levels. And for that very reason, the comments and the psychology also shifts quite dramatically in that fashion. So yes, I can already tell that me telling you that we are starting to become overbought and it's time to be cautious is going to be received in a way that, nope, markets are going higher and we are going to see Apple at 200 and it's going to be just blast off moment where we're going to continue to move up. But from the past, from historical levels, and from statistically speaking, we have seen what's happened every time we get up to those overbought levels. And I think it's really important for us to continue to be cautious, just understanding of the fact that no pattern, no price action is going to last forever. Eventually, we will see pullbacks, we will see corrections, because that's just how markets work. Now, the only difference with this is that we're changing the overall direction. Okay, we're changing the direction. So what I've talked about in the past in my previous videos is that we have to identify the overall direction. Earlier, it was this, lower high and lower low. And the NASDAQ, the S&P, Apple, Amazon, they've all been trading in this direction, which is a downtrending channel, lower highs and lower lows. What's happened more recently, though, after today, what we have seen is that, yes, we were in a lower high, lower low pattern, but the S&P 500 broke out to its previous high, right? Now, that doesn't mean that once we break out over its previous high, we're just going to keep mooning higher and we're going to blast off. No. What it means is that, yes, we move up to break out the previous high. What we want to see now is what? we want to now see a higher low get printed, right? So market needs to make a higher low, and that's going to be a good confirmation for a new uptrend, for a new directional change in the market. That's how markets move. You will never see markets go down and go up. Very, very rarely do we see those V-shaped recoveries. That happened during the pandemic because interest rates also, they were higher, they got cut, and the markets rallied pretty aggressively. But in a normal circumstance, chances are we're going to see these trends play out where the market moves in cycles. Within the context of a larger trend, it moves within lower highs and lower lows. And within the context of this higher and bigger uptrend, it moves within higher highs and higher lows. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Apple, obviously pushing higher, making a very nice higher high, higher high. And the next support level is going to be $180 for, I got mixed up with high and low, so I said ho. I didn't mean that, but yeah, next support is gonna be at about $180 for Apple, and of course it's 1 a.m. guys. I'm sorry, it's 1 in the morning, so you gotta forgive me. Next resistance is gonna be at about $189, close to $190 per share. Next one on the list is going to be Amazon. So Amazon also pushing higher. So 146 is going to be that next resistance level to watch for Amazon. And of course, support level is going to stay put down to $135 per share. Very nice move to the upside. Very nice breakout, making a higher high. And support level is going to stay put down to 135 for Amazon as well. Talking a little bit about Tesla, and Tesla here getting bounced right back up from low 200s. We talked about that support still within the context of this lower high and lower low. So still in this downtrend at the moment. And that next resistance is going to be roughly around $240 per share, all the way up to as much as 250s. And of course, we've got a massive wall of supply, big resistance in the 280s to $320 per share for Tesla moving forward. So that's really where we are. Lots of consolidation within the context of this range and a little bit of a gap to fill eventually. NVIDIA, on the other hand, also seeing a little bit of a breakout. So NVIDIA on the day up over 2.9, almost 3% on the day. RSI and MACD also getting up to, a little bit more on the overbought side here. So again, we got to be a little bit more careful, more cautious as prices go higher and higher. So do the technicals, so do the overbought conditions continue to kind of, get much worse moving forward. So as price goes up, risk goes up with it. So again, that's the level that we are inside this red rectangle. It's going to be sitting roughly at around $485 to as much as $500 per share. Advanced micro devices, look at that breakout. RSI, MACD, overbought, not a doubt in my mind. Resistance is going to be $119, close to $120, and that's exactly where we are for AMD at the moment. Very, very strong move to the upside, consistently moving higher, and this is the higher high that just printed for advanced micro devices. And the next support is going to be 112 down to possibly at a higher low between $100 and $105 per share. Again, we'll find out soon enough where AMD starts to, when and where AMD pullbacks down to moving forward. So again, this is the overbought conditions that we're seeing for advanced micro devices. Talking about PayPal here, PayPal also just consolidating sideways, so not really moving all that much despite a very strong day on the NASDAQ. There is absolutely no institutional activity happening on PayPal. PayPal is kind of like that lonely kid in the playground where nobody wants to play with right now. But hey, eventually, you never know. That kid might end up growing up to be the most popular kid. You never know. But that's really where we are. And $56, popular hopefully for the right reasons. $56, $57 is going to be that next resistance level. And support level is going to be at $50, $51 for PayPal. Lots of consolidation right now. But like I said, there's not a lot of volume. There's not a lot of institutional activity. And as a result, there's not a lot of movement in PayPal right now. Talking about Visa here, pushing up to that resistance at 245. So that's really where we are. That's going to be that next resistance level to watch. And of course, support level is going to stay put at $228, $230. If you do get a breakout, next level is going to be $250 for Visa. Not quite overbought yet, but we're certainly moving up in that direction. Very similar to the S&P NASDAQ, RSI at over 61. MACD is also moving higher very, very nicely. Meta Platforms also showing very, very good signs of a breakout. So up over 2.5%, 329 is where we are. Lots of consolidation sideways. And this right here is going to be the area of resistance. We're not clear yet because the high for this was $330. and high for today is 329. So we still have a little bit more momentum that we need for Meta in order to break out successfully. But of course, RSI moving up in the right direction, so is the MACD, so lots of momentum, moving higher for Meta platforms as well. Netflix, on the other hand, also moving higher to its target, 452, overbought on the RSI and the MACD. So we've got actually a lot of stocks now coming up to their overbought territories and their resistances, right? So I know right now in the moment this doesn't make sense, and this is not something people want to hear, that Caddy, just shut up, like, markets are going higher, let us enjoy that. And I'm all for it. I mean, I'm in VUG, I'm in a lot of individual stocks. I own Tesla, of course, I own Amazon, a chunk of it. I own SMH, that was up like 4%. So I do want them to be successful, but I also want to be very objective and kind of help you understand where the technicals are. And this is to say that we are overbought, and technicals do not basically represent a very favorable risk reward trade-off on the long side. But we got to enjoy it while it lasts, and we got to also prepare for when it does end. And resistance is going to be at 452 for Netflix right now. We've got a massive gap to fill on the downside. Google here, on the other hand, also moving higher slowly and steadily, kind of filling in that gap. Google's technicals actually do look much better. I wouldn't be surprised if Google does actually trade up to 139 to 144, kind of coming up to this red rectangle and this resistance for Google, and support level is going to stay put down to 126 and about $117 per share. That's going to be all the way down lower. Now, Microsoft, I would argue it is getting ripe for a potential pullback here, given how overbought, extremely overbought it is, with a very massive breakout, new all-time high for Microsoft. And Microsoft actually may surpass Apple as being the most valuable company in the world very soon. It's already at 2.75 trillion, and Apple right now is at 2.899, so about $150 billion more, and Microsoft may be crowned as the most valuable publicly traded company in the world, and beating Apple to it. Of course, Apple's held that status for a very long time, but Microsoft could be the one that takes that status away from Apple fairly soon. Wouldn't be surprised if that ends up happening. But Microsoft, like I said, extremely overbought. MACD, RSI, there's possibility for a pullback. And last but not least, we got Costco and Enphase. So Costco, we're going to come over here. Very nice move to the upside, up another 2.5%. So huge breakout. Not quite overbought yet, although it's getting up there. And the next target and resistance is going to be all the way up here at $603 per share in case we get a breakout beyond this level. And then finally, we got Enphase. Enphase up over 3.2%, so decent day. Again, nothing compared to some of the other companies out there, but not too bad. And resistance is going to be at close to $78 right now, all the way up to $92. And of course, it is extremely overbought at the moment. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and a complete market update. Don't forget, next week is inflation numbers, so very, very important stuff. I will be live to cover those inflation numbers when they do come out. So as always, if you enjoyed it, found it helpful, make sure that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, join our Patreon, links to our members-only private videos, Excel spreadsheets, Discord access, everything's going to be included. And as always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.